Hey there, Rockbridge. We are in Sacred Assembly and giving some devotional thoughts around that understanding and that perspective. Our church has been doing this now for a little over a week. I get goosebumps thinking about the stories that I'm hearing, what God's doing, how you're taking the tools that we're giving out, how you're praying, how you're reaching, how you're serving. It's absolutely amazing. And we want to make sure that we don't turn this into, hey God, we want you to give us this. We want to make sure that we're saying, hey God, we want to know you. We want to know you. We want to live gospel-centered. Now, what's that mean? You might have heard that word kicked around a lot. Well, Paul, I think, is the greatest example we can get by living a gospel-centered life, by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, second by second. And he says this in Galatians 2:20, I have been crucified with Christ. I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. The life which I now live in this body, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. I want to give you a few devotional thoughts around this verse that'll help us walk out and live out the gospel in our lives, make it center of our lives. In other words, nothing's more important. Nothing. And that's what Paul is saying here. And he says, I crucify myself just as Christ did. So spiritually, I put myself on the cross every single day. And I died to my desires. I died to my wants. I died to everything that I wish for. And I pick up the cross and I die to that. And I want Christ's best for my life. That's what we want anyway. Nothing will give us more pleasure than what God can give us. He's created nothing that'll give us more pleasure. He'll give us nothing that'll give us more pleasure. So he's been crucified with Christ. And he says, the life which I now live is through Christ living inside me. So who's directing your life? Who's the rudder of your life? Christ is. That's what gospel-centered living means. In the life which I now live in this body. So we can't get away from living in this body that we have here on earth. Christ lives in us and we live in this body, and we need to understand that. We need to understand that we need to confess. We need to let people know around us, let our spouse know, let friends know that, hey, I'm not perfect, but I am seeking progress in my life and what Christ wants me to do. And the life I now live, I live in the flesh for Christ who gave himself for me. What a motivation. If you look and you say, man, gospel-centered living's hard. Look what Jesus did. What a model for us. We need to embrace that as we become more and more gospel-centered in our lives. So take that verse, Galatians 2:20, and before you get up, pretend like that bed that you're in is a executioner's chair, the electric chair, and say, hey, Christ, I live for you, and I'm crucified with you before I put my feet on the ground. And God, I'm going to live gospel-centered today. If it gets hard, Lord, help me look towards the gospel for solutions. I'm praying for you. We are praying for you. God bless you as we seek a sacred assembly.